Hey everybody, today we are going to be covering weapons. As you can tell, I am closing in on an enemy ship that is straight ahead of me. This is U-48, and I'm going to go ahead and select him. Now, what we can do with weapons is blow stuff up, and it is very fun to blow stuff up. However, there's some very important concepts you have to know about the weapon station. First of all, on this left side here, this shows us the type of ordnance that we have on board. We have EMPs, which are torpedoes that will fire at the enemy, and it brings their shields to 50% of their maximum value. If they're already at 50%, a second EMP is not going to do you any good. Next is a Type 6 mine, which is basically a nuclear bomb in mine format that the enemy has to run over. Now be aware that you can also run over your own mines, so when you're deploying them, make sure you give yourself enough speed to get away from the blast radius if the enemy is right behind you. The next is a nuke, which is, well, a nuke. And the last is a homing torpedo, which is the most basic type of torpedo. In this example, we are using the light cruiser variant, so we have two tubes. So you press load, and it will load the whatever selected type of torpedo you have. So since I selected Type 1 homing, we're going to load two Type 1 homing torpedoes into the bay. As you can see, they are now done loading. Well, I don't want two Type 1 homings, I want an EMP and a homing. So you press unload and it pulls it out of the bay, and then I'm going to select Type 9 EMP, and then when this is done I will reload it into the tube. There it goes, and now we reload. This is something that is very important for you to keep track of because reload times can be pretty long. As you can see here, just that simple unloading and reloading is taking a long time to get done. In the bottom right corner here, you have your shield display. Green is good, yellow means they're getting low, red is bad, and black means they don't exist. You also have control of the shields. You share this control with the helm, so make sure that one of you two is coordinated on who's going to control the shields. You can zoom in and out, so here we're going to zoom out, 4 zoom levels, and here we can zoom in. Here's maximum zoom. I like zoom 2 personally. Up here you have auto beams and manual beams. This is manual beams where you can target specific locations on the enemy ship. Down here you see your weapons arc, and right here you see your target. This little periscope looking thing is your weapon arc that you can work with, and to fire you just click. Now the reason that's not happening is, as you can see, he's out of my weapons range. This is called manual beam. You do more damage in manual beam mode, but obviously you have to be more precise. Auto beams takes care of that for you. Again, these are your weapons arc right here. So you have a large area in front that you have both beams that can target. You have a slight area off to your left and right sides that only one beam can target. So the beams are oriented like this and like this. So you have a pretty wide angle, I'd say about a 90-degree angle in front of you, where you've got full weapons arcs on them. Finally, on the right side here, you can convert a torpedo to energy, which, if you've watched the helm video, you have your energy display right here. Your shield displays here. This tells you what your beam weapons are set to, and if you have an active or idle weapon lock. To lock onto a target, you simply click it. That's pretty straightforward. Now notice, for those of you who have also watched the helm video, I can't turn the ship. That's because your weapons. You're not supposed to be turning the ship. This also gives you the layout of your ordnance. So we have 7 Type 1 homings in reserved, 2 nukes, 6 mines, and 3 EMPs. You can also convert a regular Type 1 homing torpedo to energy, which is what I was referring to earlier. And you can also convert energy to a torpedo. It costs, I believe, torpedo to energy is 100, but it's 150 to convert back. So basically, the only time you want to convert from energy to torpedo is you're low on weapons, but you're high on energy. So I'm going to go ahead and swap back open to Helm, and yes, you can play multiple stations at the same time. And I'm going to speed up just a little bit here to catch up with this guy. Switch back to weapons. You'll also notice as well that you have the same options in the top right corner here that Helm does. They're identical. You also have the long-range scan option and the visual option. Now, as you can see, this guy is coming around to attack me. So we're going to fire a Type 9 EMP at him. And then we're going to follow up with a homing torpedo. So the EMP there, notice how his shields have dropped. And then we've done damage. His aft shield is down. So we need to load more homing torpedoes. And I'm going to take control of Helm here and kind of maneuver around. And as always, we don't want to be within his weapon arc here, represented by this teal line. Go to warp here briefly to get around behind him. Then we're going to go ahead and swing around. Switch back to weapon. Beams are on auto. We're going to go ahead and fire another homing torpedo at him. And as you saw there, very briefly, the beams fired and took him out. I do have some sounds currently turned off. Anyway, that is the very, very basics of weapons. The last thing you'll need to know is you'll need to coordinate with science, because science will do some scans and give you some weapon frequencies that you can use. So, like in Star Trek, they had different shield modulations. The same thing applies to Artemis. So there are 5 frequencies, A through E, and with those frequencies, they have different levels of resistance. It depends on the ship and what their shield modulation is. So on one ship, A may be the weak one, so obviously you want to set for frequency A for maximum effectiveness. And for another ship, it may be E or D. So you just have to adjust accordingly, and you have to coordinate with science to get the most effectiveness out of it. That's really about it for weapons, so we'll go ahead and call that good. Good luck on weapons.